Peace and blessings. Welcome back to the channel once again, where we talk all things health and healing from a holistic perspective. And today is going to be a little bit different because I'm in the kitchen, in my kitchen. And today we're going to be talking about Irish sea moss, Chondrus crispus. Now, before I get started, let me give you a little bit of a breakdown about Irish sea moss. All seaweeds or sea moss are not created equal, okay? I have a whole video dedicated to that, real sea moss versus fake sea moss. So go check that video out, but it's just really important today that you get a good source of sea moss. Now, the particular seaweed that I use is Irish sea moss. Irish sea moss comes from a very particular part of the world, okay? The Atlantic Ocean, and most specifically the North Atlantic Ocean, okay, near Ireland. The reason why it's called Irish sea moss is because the best comes from Ireland, okay? Now, what you see here is what I've soaked about 24 hours, okay? So you can see that there are different colors here. There's purple, you got a little bit of yellow, green. This is what Irish sea moss looks like. And the reason why I'm telling you that is because when you get our bags, when you get our Irish sea moss from us, again, which comes directly from Ireland, it's gonna look a little bit different because it's dehydrated. But we'll get to that in just a second. But again, the most important thing, whether you buy your sea moss from me or not, make sure you understand where you're getting it from, where you're sourcing it from. We know that there's a lot of issues with all sorts of things being sourced from China and other places. I went to the supermarket or the farmer's market the other day, and they had sea moss in there, and it was from like Vietnam, okay? You do not want your sea moss or seaweed from Vietnam, especially when you can get it from the Atlantic Ocean, okay? And you remember that big thing that happened in Japan where the nuclear plant exploded, okay? And it went into the ocean, and it went as far as California, okay? So really important where you source your sea moss. The other thing that I'll talk about is a huge difference in getting sea moss that is seasonally and naturally grown versus getting sea moss that is either pool grown, literally they grow it in a pool, or they grow it in the ocean, but it's not attached to coral, which is naturally attached to, okay? Coral is a natural rock in the ocean, and the sea moss grows on the coral, and it pulls the minerals from the coral the same way that natural spring water, when it hits a mountain and it rolls down the mountains, is pulling those minerals from the mountain as well too, okay? So you want natural seaweed, Irish sea moss that is attached to the coral, that is grown seasonally. Now, one of the things you probably saw on my website is that it ran out, okay? The reason why it runs out is because when the season is done, it's done. And I do the same thing with I Heart Fruit Box. You'll notice that when a fruit season is over, we don't have that fruit anymore. Okay, so that's the huge difference between the sea moss that I make for you guys and sell to you guys versus making sure you get your sea moss from a natural source. Okay, hugely important. With that being said, let's get into how do you prepare it once you buy it, okay? Because we know that sea moss is a superfood, okay? And when I say superfood, you're gonna get a total of vitamins, minerals, trace elements, tons of them in one place. That means that the food is nutrient dense. That means it's packed with nutrients, but not a lot of calories. And that's what you want in food, okay? So when you get the sea moss, you're gonna get it, and let me show you what it looks like. Now, some of the things that seaweeds are really good for are iodine. Iodine is virtually non-existent in the soil today. So we have to get our iodine, okay? Now I'm gonna show you what this looks like. Take a look real quick. Now, look at this, okay? And look at this, okay? They are the same thing. The only difference is this one is hydrated. This one is dehydrated. You just have to hydrate it. Now, what's also important is when you get our sea moss, it actually comes from the ocean, okay? And because it comes from the ocean, when you get it, you need to clean it. You need to rinse it, okay? When you get it, there may be some seashells in it. Real, recognize real, okay? When you get it, it may be some sea barnacles in it that you need to clean out. So one thing I will tell you, if you have a severe shellfish allergy, then you might want to be very careful and cautious about this, okay? Because it actually comes from the ocean, all right? Hugely important. Now, when you get this, you have to decide how much you want to use at once. This is maybe 2 ounce. We have a 2 ounce and a 4 ounce bag, okay? I would highly recommend getting the 4 ounce because you get more bang for your buck, okay? And that you heard was a seashell falling out of the bag, all right? So I just want to know, let you know that it's real when you get it. All right, so when you get it, this is what it's gonna look like, all dried up and in the bag. When you get it, you'll also notice that you may see some white stuff on it. That is not fungus or anything, okay? That is something that you just simply have to wash off. As I told you before, it's attached to coral when you get it, all right? All right, so what you wanna do is sort of break it up, and that's what I do, I break it up. That makes it easier to cleanse. So I want to break it up like so. And then when I break it up, I lift up to see if there's any seashells or barnacles in there or, you know, sea life. Because again, it's real. Once I see it's clear to go, I add water, okay? The water is for rinsing and cleansing, okay? Just want to add water equally. That's good enough. Mix it in there. And this needs to soak overnight. I mean, I've even, you know, and when I've been really busy, I've soaked it for like maybe 4 hours as well too. But the most important thing is you need to rinse it. Now I have this key lime that I have here. This key lime, you add it in there for alkalinity, and it also helps to cleanse it. Okay, so I add a couple of key limes in there for the juice. And as you can see, it's real because you can see the seeds coming out of the key lime right there, okay? So add that in there, and I'll try to get those out, but if not, it'll be blended up. And that's not a problem either. All right, so we'll try to get that out. All right, that's good to go. Now we just want to cleanse it. Now what you'll notice is that now the water is getting a little hazy, all right? Because you're cleansing it. This is what you need to do. So this is what you want to do. And what I recommend doing is once you cleanse it, like so, let it soak, and then come back, drain the water and put more water in there again. Because what you're gonna notice is, again, like I'm gonna pull this up, see how the water is a little bit dirty? All right, you're cleansing it. All right, so you just wanna come back and do that again. Make sure you use natural spring water, all right? Use natural spring water. Again, you wanna kind of have this sit overnight. So what I always tell people is, maybe this is something you wanna do right before bedtime, maybe it's 7, 8 o'clock at night. Go ahead and rinse it one time, come back, add a little bit more water, let it soak overnight, and in the morning, you can start blending it, which is what we're about to do in a second, okay? So you can see what it looks like now. This is after 24 hours. You see it's all fluffy. All right. This is after about 3 or 4 minutes. All right. Now what I want you again to see is how different it looks when it's dry. Okay. So a lot of people, when they get it dry, they're like, oh no, I've never seen sea moss look like that. Okay. That's what it's going to look like. All right. So just keep that in mind. It's real stuff here. So this is not no supermarket, like cut of the mill stuff. This is the real thing. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do is, because this has already been soaking for 24 hours, the next thing we're gonna do, we're gonna come over here to the blender, and we're gonna get things popping with the blender. I'm gonna show you how to make the gel, okay? So come on over here, I'll show you what it looks like. All right, come on in. So this is the sea moss again that I showed you that I had soaked overnight and prepared for the video. And as you can see, when you look in here, you can see the water. The water's a little, so it's not actually super clear, but again, it's been soaking in the sea moss. Okay, I rinsed it at least twice, washed it at least twice. So this water is good to go. So typically when you read the instructions, in the instructions it says 1 cup, but we'll see how much water is in here once we put the sea moss actually in the blender. So let's put it inside of the blender, okay? And this is around 3 cups of sea moss, okay? Probably more accurately about two and a half cups, all right? So I'm gonna pour some of this water in there. And as you can see, I'm gonna let the rest stay in there because it is a little dirty, all right? Put that in there. Put this in there, all right? And I think we need to add a little water because I like mine a little thin. I don't like it super thick, so I'm gonna add some more water as well too. And then that way, you can determine what you want the consistency to be. Depending on if you're using this for a smoothie, if you're using this for teas, if you're using this for recipes, etc. Okay, depending on how thick you like it. That is a preference, okay? So what we're gonna do now is blend on high and let it form into a gel. And we'll put the blender on warp speed here, but just make sure you get it to a smooth gel-like consistency. All right. I'll show you what that looks like. Come on in here. All right, so that's what it looks like. All right, and you can see it's a little, I like mine thin. All right, so if you like yours thin like this, you wanna add a little bit more water. All right, now let me give you a few tips. And as you can see, it doesn't drip even though it's thin. All right, that's what I like about it. You can add a few things to this. I've done where I've added blueberries to my sea moss and made blueberry sea moss. I've also added elderberry syrup to the sea moss as well too. And it does really good to help the sea moss gel be preserved as well too. Now when you make the sea moss, this will last anywhere from 10 to 14 days, refrigerated in a glass jar, okay? So typically what I do is I put it inside a glass jar, seal tight, put it in the refrigerator, and put an expiration date of 2 weeks from the date that I make it, all right? Now the cool thing is, I wanna show you this, come on in here. All right, so this is one of the seashells that I found inside of the sea moss pack. We do our best to remove all of these from the sea moss, but again, it's just really important to know and understand that this comes from the ocean, and it comes from the ocean in which is very natural habitat, okay? And the reason why that's so important is because, again, you got pool-grown sea moss, you got sea moss that just grows on lines in the ocean. That is not the natural way. The way that we get our sea moss is we literally have free divers go into the water and sustainably remove the sea moss, okay? So just hugely important. The other thing that I wanna show you as well is, I know that you got this video, but you're also gonna get this card, and on the card has instructions. It also shows you that with the sea moss, you can use this for smoothies, you can use it for juices, you can use it for herbal teas, salad dressings, you can use this for recipes. So if you have my recipe book, you can add this as a thickening agent as well too. I use it as a face mask to clean my face. I also use it in my hair sometimes as well too. And again, sea moss is a superfood. It's loaded with prebiotics, which feed the good bacteria in your gut. It also is soothing to the gut as well. So if you have inflammation in your gut, it's good for that as well too. Loaded with iodine and many minerals and vitamins as well too. So I hope this video has been helpful. I'm gonna put the sea moss inside of the jar here, throw a label on it, and then we're good to go. Cheers.